Welcome to the Right Way Sports Network YouTube channel. My name is Dash, and today I'm joined by fellow TWSN analyst Charlie Stone as we talk about the extremely overrated Tennessee Titans offense. People might say Derrick Henry this, Julio Jones that, but they won't be good. We're going to break down what it is that makes this offense that looks good on paper one of the most overhyped in the league.
First, I'm going to start off by talking about the Tennessee Titans offensive line. Taylor Lewan has started since 2014, and while he's been a cornerstone for the Tennessee Titans offensive line in recent years, he is coming off a torn ACL and aging into his 30s, which raises questions for the Tennessee's left tackle spot. Next, at left guard is Roger Saffold. While he's had some promising seasons in Tennessee, his average salary is $11 million per year, comes in just over Ali Marpet and David DeCastro, who are, in my opinion, much better guards in the NFL. And while he's produced a solid level of play, I would state that this is an overpay, and they should look into other left guard options in the future. Next, the one solid position I like on the Tennessee Titans offensive line is center Ben Jones. He has done a nice job and kind of gone under the radar in recent years. Moving on to right guard is Nate Davis. Nate Davis struggled heavily in 2019. While he had a better 2020 campaign, there is still a question of whether he can consistently play at a high level. And finally, the right tackle spot for the Tennessee Titans. This is the biggest question mark on their offensive line after Jack Conklin left to the Cleveland Browns in recent years. After drafting Isaiah Wilson in the 2020 draft, and getting cut very early into the season, they recently took a chance on a second-round rookie out of North Dakota State, Dylan Radins, who has only played one complete season in the FCS. With question marks at the left tackle, right guard, and right tackle position, the inside zone and gap scheme that the Tennessee Titans like to run has serious issues without solidifying these spots.
As for the guy running the ball behind this offensive line, it's Derrick Henry. He's no doubt one of the best running backs in the league. Honestly, one of the best ever. Dude is just an absolute freak of nature. But the Titans had the third highest running percentage of any team in the NFL. And when you have a running back who runs as physically as Derrick Henry, the dude is going to get injured. It's going to happen. He's going to be a monster when he plays, but the Titans will literally run his game into the ground. And backing him up, who do they have? Darrington Evans. He touched the ball 16 times in his rookie season. When Henry goes down, there is no run game, especially behind this offensive line that the Titans have.
To go off of Dash's point about them being the third highest run percent in the league, the two teams above them, New England and Baltimore, don't have a true running back star that Tennessee has in Derrick Henry. And for this reason, their running back by committee is more safe and less injury prone than the Tennessee Titans run game.
Look at their passing game. The Titans had a good quarterback last year. Ryan Tannehill was good. His PFF grade was above 90. He had over 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, and he only had 7 interceptions. He had a great PFF grade in the year before that too, but he played pretty bad with the Dolphins. So we don't know if he's going to be able to continue to be the quarterback he was last season and the year before, especially with a new offensive coordinator. The new offensive coordinator in Tennessee was their old tight ends coach, Todd Downing. He was promoted from tight ends coach like Arthur Smith was before him, but this time they don't even have good tight ends. So his main focus on the offensive end is going to be a very weak position. He led Derek Carr to a career season in Oakland in 2016 as a quarterbacks coach. He was even promoted to offensive coordinator the next year and was the OC for the Raiders in 2017, but that only took them to 6-10. Carr's numbers dipped significantly, and that could be worrisome for Tannehill going forward. We know Tannehill can play poorly, and if his offensive coordinator isn't playing to his strong suits, we could see a repeat of the Derek Carr situation. And then when we look at the receivers, we know about Julio Jones. He's one of the best. He always will be. He's just an absolute GOAT. But he doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. He only posted double-digit touchdowns one time in his career. During the Julio Jones trade talks, sources were saying that Julio would have preferred a big-armed QB. And I can name many players with bigger arms than Tannehill. He's coming from Matt Ryan, another quarterback later in his career who lacked elite arm strength. Julio's strengths are getting downfield and getting open deep. And I don't think Tannehill's going to be able to capitalize on that. However, joining Julio Jones is really young, very good receiver, A.J. Brown. He had over 1,000 yards in each of his first 2 seasons, but not being the main guy anymore could stunt his growth.
Something else important to point out is that the majority of the time, the Tennessee Titans are in 12 or 21 personnel, and only 2 receivers are on the field. This means that they heavily favor tight ends and fullbacks, and with the loss of JONNU Smith, there are also question marks raised at those positions.
JONNU Smith had 8 touchdowns last season in 2020, and that's just something that they're not replacing. Like I said, Julio Jones isn't a big touchdown guy. He only had 3 last year. JONNU had 5 more than Julio did, and that's just something that they didn't add at all. Their tight end group might be the worst in the NFL. They're led by Harvard grad Anthony Firkser, who saw career highs in targets, receptions, and yards in 2020, but did pretty much nothing with them. He only had around 300 yards, and there's just no proven receiving tight end in this locker room. This could really actually be the worst tight end group in the league. And going along with that, their number 3 wide receiver, Josh Reynolds, somebody who probably won't even play much. They added him in free agency, and he's a mediocre wide receiver. His best season was just over 600 yards, but there really won't be any room for him in this offense that, like Charlie said, runs pretty much 12 or 21 personnel most of the time. There's really just not much room for receivers, and that's their strength on this team right now. So to wrap things up, we take another look at the team. Their offensive line has holes. Their running game is Derrick Henry and nothing else. And their pass game is decent in the receiver room, but they have no tight ends, and that was the strength of this team last year. So what does their team look like going forward? If they can't put every piece that they have together and utilize them in the best possible way, this team is not doing anything. The playoff berth, the playoff run that we saw a couple years ago, it's not happening again. Derrick Henry can't put the team on his back if he's injured, and that's just going to happen.
I hope y'all enjoyed Dash and I's breakdown of the Tennessee Titans offense. Please leave a like below and subscribe. Thank you.
We'll see you next time here on the Right Way Sports Network YouTube channel. Peace out.